You are at a networking event. Someone smiles, hands you a coffee, and asks a very simple question. So, how has your week been?
It is a basic question, but inside your head, a massive construction project suddenly begins.
You think, should I use present perfect? My week has been, no, maybe simple past. It was, wait, is it busy with or busy doing? If I say busy, do I sound boring? I need a better vocabulary word. What is a synonym for busy? Occupied? Hectic?
And while your brain is doing this intense grammar gymnastics, 3 seconds of silence pass. Then 5 seconds.
The other person is just staring at you, waiting.
Finally, you panic, drop all your beautiful vocabulary, and say, "Yes, fine, thank you."
That specific kind of panic is what we are fixing today. Speak English naturally. I'm Rose, and welcome to Speak English Naturally.
And I'm Jack. Today, we are putting English into a real situation, not a perfect classroom.
We are tackling something that happens to almost every English learner, and honestly, every human being: overthinking.
Overthinking in English and overthinking in life. They are actually the exact same habit. It is that moment when you try so hard to be perfect that you end up doing nothing at all.
Or saying nothing at all. You have a great idea in your head, but because you are trying to build the absolute perfect sentence, you miss your chance to speak. The conversation moves on, and you are left standing there feeling frustrated.
So today, we are not going to talk about grammar rules. We are going to talk about escape routes. How to break the cycle of overthinking right in the middle of a conversation, and how to just start talking.
Exactly. We are going to look at a very common, very real situation where overthinking ruins everything. And then we will show you how to rescue it using simple, natural English.
Let's jump straight into it. Rose, set the scene for us. Role play challenge, the brain freeze.
All right, let's imagine we are at a company workshop. We are on a coffee break. We've just watched a very long presentation about a new software system.
A very boring presentation, probably.
Very boring. And you and I are standing by the coffee machine. We know each other, but we are not best friends. We are just colleagues making small talk.
Got it. Casual professional environment. The pressure is relatively low, but you still want to sound smart.
Exactly. That is the danger zone for overthinking. You want to sound professional, so you start editing yourself before you even open your mouth. So, in this first attempt, I am going to play the person who overthinks. You just ask me a normal question.
I am ready. Let's do the bad version first.
Here we go.
So, Rose, what did you think of the new software they just showed us? It looks a bit complicated to me.
Well, I think that the implementation of the...
Yeah? The implementation?
The implementation will be... Wait, if we implement it, I mean, the system is highly... It is very good. Yes, it will be good.
Right. Good. Well, I'm going to grab a napkin.
Oh, that was painful. That was physically painful to do.
It was awkward, but it is so real. Let's pause and look at what just happened there. Because your English level is not the problem in that scenario.
No, I knew exactly what I wanted to say. My real opinion was, it looks cool, but it will take us months to learn how to use it. That is a simple thought.
But what was happening in your brain during those awkward seconds of silence?
My brain was acting like an aggressive editor. You asked the question. Immediately I thought, I am at work. I should use professional words. So instead of use, I thought of implement. Instead of hard, I thought of challenging or complex.
You were writing a formal email in your head, but trying to speak it out loud.
Yes, I was drafting. I tried to start the sentence with, the implementation of the system, which is a very heavy academic way to start a spoken sentence.
And once you start a sentence that way, you trap yourself. You have to finish it with equally complex grammar. You run out of processing power. It is like a computer crashing because too many programs are open.
Exactly. I crashed, and because I crashed, I panicked. And what did I say at the end? It is very good. I went from trying to sound like a professor to sounding like a robot.
This is the core problem with overthinking in English. You aim for 100% perfection, you fail, and you end up giving a 10% answer. If you just aimed for 70%, you would have had a great conversation.
So how do we rescue this? When you feel that silence stretching and your brain is searching for the perfect word, how do you escape?
You need what I call a drop and walk strategy. You notice you are carrying this heavy, complicated sentence in your head. You drop it, and you walk through a simpler door.
I love that. Drop the heavy sentence. How do we do that in real life? What is the actual language we can use to save the moment?
We use filler phrases that admit we are processing, or phrases that force us to be simple. Let's do the scene again. Same setup, coffee machine. I ask you about the software. But this time, when you feel the overthinking start, use a recovery phrase.
Okay, I am going to use a phrase to buy time, and then a phrase to force myself to be simple. Let's try it.
So, Rose, what did you think of the new software they just showed us? It looks a bit complicated to me.
Let me think for a second. Honestly, the simple version is, it looks great, but it's going to take forever to learn.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. I don't have time for a 3-week training course right now.
Right? I'm overthinking how it will affect our daily tasks, but really, we just need to know if it saves time.
Exactly. We will figure it out eventually, I guess.
Wow, that felt entirely different.
It was a real conversation. You didn't freeze. You didn't sound like a textbook. You just connected with me.
Let's break down exactly what changed, because this is where the real English practice happens. Natural debrief plus inline vocabulary.
Let's start with the very first thing you did. When I asked the question, you felt the panic coming, but you didn't stay silent. You said, "Let me think for a second."
That phrase is a lifesaver. Let me think for a second. When you overthink, you feel like you have to answer in 0 seconds. You feel this invisible pressure. By saying, "Let me think for a second," you are doing 2 things. You are taking control of the silence, and you are telling the other person, "I heard you, I am processing, don't walk away."
Yes, silence without words is awkward. Silence after, "Let me think for a second," is totally normal. It shows you are engaged.
And then, I used my favorite recovery strategy. I caught myself trying to build that terrible implementation sentence again. I felt the grammar trap, so I used a boundary phrase. Honestly, the simple version is,
That is brilliant. The simple version is, when you say that out loud, you give your brain permission to stop looking for big, fancy words. You are literally telling yourself, and me, that you are choosing simplicity on purpose.
exactly. It's a trick you play on your own brain. If I make a mistake or use basic words after saying, the simple version is, it doesn't look like I have bad English. It looks like I am just summarizing.
It is the perfect disguise. I'm not bad at vocabulary. I'm just giving you the simple version.
Right. It saves your ego and it saves the conversation. And notice what I actually said after that. It looks great, but it's going to take forever to learn. Very basic words. Great, take forever, learn. But it communicated exactly what I meant.
And that brings us to a huge connection between overthinking in English and overthinking in life. Why do we overthink? We overthink because we are afraid of being judged.
We think, if I don't sound smart, they won't respect me. Or in life, if I don't make the perfect decision, everything will fall apart.
Right. You stare at a restaurant menu for 20 minutes because you are overthinking which meal will be the absolute best. You stare at an email for an hour because you want the tone to be perfectly polite but also firm.
Are you watching me work, Jack? Because that email thing is painfully accurate.
We all do it, but in a live conversation, you don't have 20 minutes. The more you overthink, the more unnatural you become. The cure for overthinking is not thinking harder. The cure is action.
Yes, taking a small, imperfect action. In life, that means just ordering the sandwich and seeing if it's good. In English, it means just starting the sentence with the words you already have, not the words you wish you had.
Let me introduce a simple framework for this. 3 steps for when you feel your brain locking up in an English conversation. I call it catch, cut, and connect.
Catch, cut, and connect. I like the sound of that. Break it down for us.
Step 1 is catch. You have to notice the overthinking. You have to catch yourself staring blankly. The symptom is usually that you are translating a very long sentence from your native language into English, and you are stuck on one specific word.
Oh yes, the missing word. You have 90% of the sentence, but you are missing one specific noun, and your brain just stops there, refusing to move forward.
Exactly. When you catch yourself doing that, you move to step 2, cut. You literally cut the complicated sentence in half. You throw away the draft. You do not need the perfect word.
So if I want to say, the logistics of the upcoming conference are quite overwhelming, and I forget the word logistics, I just cut it. I throw that whole structure away.
Yes, which leads to step 3, connect. You connect with the other person using whatever simple words you have right now. Instead of logistics, you just say, planning this event is really hard. Boom, connected. You are back in the conversation.
Catch, cut, connect. It sounds easy, but it requires practice. Because letting go of the perfect sentence feels like failing. It feels like you are accepting a lower level of English.
But it is actually the opposite. Real fluency isn't about knowing every complex word. Fluency is the ability to keep the conversation flowing smoothly, even when you encounter a gap in your knowledge. The most fluent speakers in the world use simple workarounds all the time.
That is so true. Even native speakers lose their train of thought. We overthink, we forget words, we start sentences and realize halfway through that we have no idea where we are going.
And what do native speakers do when that happens? Do they freeze for 10 seconds and panic? No, they use recovery phrases.
They say things like, wait, I lost my train of thought, or let me start again. They normalize the mistake. They make the messy part visible, and then they keep going.
Let's look at another example of how overthinking traps us. Have you ever been asked a surprise question? Something you didn't prepare for at all?
All the time. You are in a meeting, you are quietly taking notes, and suddenly the boss turns to you and says, Rose, what is your strategy for this quarter?
A terrifying moment. Your brain goes into overdrive. You think you need a 5-point plan instantly.
And because you try to create a 5-point plan in 3 seconds, you say, nothing. You overthink the structure of your answer. Should I start with the budget, or the timeline, or the marketing aspect?
So how do we apply catch, cut, and connect here?
Well, I catch the panic. I realize I am trying to build a massive presentation in my head. Then I cut it. I drop the idea of a 5-point plan. I decide to give just one single point.
And then you connect. How do you start speaking so the silence doesn't kill the energy?
I would use a phrase to narrow the focus. I would say, there are a few things to consider, but the main point is...
Boom! Look at that! There are a few things to consider, but the main point is... You just bought yourself time. You acknowledged the question is big, but you only promised to deliver one simple point.
Exactly. The main point is we need to increase our social media reach. That is all I say. It is short, it is simple, and it completely stops the overthinking spiral.
This is why overthinking is not a vocabulary problem. It is an expectation problem. You expect yourself to speak like a written book. But human conversation is not a book. It is a messy, fast, unpredictable exchange of ideas.
Think about how you speak in your native language with your friends. Do you speak in perfectly structured paragraphs? Do you use advanced vocabulary for every sentence?
Never. Half my sentences trail off, or I use my hands to explain things, or I just say, you know what I mean.
Exactly. So why do we demand absolute perfection when we speak English? We need to lower the barrier to entry. We need to allow ourselves to be a little messy.
Being messy doesn't mean being careless. It means prioritizing connection over perfection. It means saying, my grammar might be a little rough right now, but my idea is important, and I want to share it with you.
And sometimes, acknowledging your overthinking out loud is the best way to destroy it. In the role play earlier, I used a line that I actually use in real life a lot. I said, I'm overthinking this, but...
That is a great phrase. By saying, I'm overthinking this, you are calling out the elephant in the room. You are being slightly vulnerable, but in a very confident, casual way.
Yes, if someone asks me a question and I freeze, I can just smile and say, I am completely overthinking my answer right now. Let me just say this. It instantly relieves the pressure. The other person usually laughs or relates to it. It makes you more human.
We try so hard to hide our struggle from the other person. We think if they see us thinking, they will judge us. But actually, when you say, I'm overthinking this, it builds empathy. They think, oh, they care about giving me a good answer. They are just like me.
This is the positive energy we want to bring to English practice. Your mistakes and your hesitations are not signs of failure. They are just signs that you are trying to do something difficult in real time.
So the next time you feel the panic rising and you realize you are translating a massive paragraph in your head, stop, catch the draft, cut the draft, and just connect. Use one simple phrase to buy time, and then say the most basic version of your truth.
I want to pull out the exact lines that helped us survive that overthinking spiral earlier.
Good idea. Not as a vocabulary test, but as a small emergency toolkit for your brain. These are the sentences you want in your pocket when English suddenly gets real.
The first line is, let me think for a second.
This is your pause button. It helps when your brain freezes, but you do not want to panic or go completely silent. It shows you are engaged.
For example, that is an interesting question. Let me think for a second.
Try this line with us. Let me think for a second.
Let me think for a second.
The next one is your boundary phrase. Honestly, the simple version is,
This is how you give yourself permission to drop the heavy, complicated grammar and just speak naturally.
for example, honestly, the simple version is, we need more time to finish the project.
Try this line with us. Honestly, the simple version is...
Honestly, the simple version is,
The third phrase is my favorite vulnerability hack. I'm overthinking this.
say this with a light smile. It instantly builds empathy with the other person, because everyone overthinks sometimes.
For example, I'm overthinking this. Let me just give you the quick answer.
Try this line with us. I'm overthinking this.
I'm overthinking this.
The fourth line is for when you are asked a huge, surprise question and you need to cut it down. The main point is,
You use it to narrow the focus. Instead of giving a 10-minute presentation, you deliver one single, clear idea.
for example, there are many details to review, but the main point is we are on schedule.
Try this line with us. The main point is...
The main point is,
And the last one is the ultimate reset button. Let me start again.
when your sentence crashes halfway through, you do not need to panic. Just announce the reset and start fresh.
For example, that didn't make much sense. Let me start again.
Try this line with us. Let me start again.
Let me start again.
So today we did not try to speak perfect academic English. We practice staying in the conversation when our brains try to make things way too complicated.
Exactly. We practiced catching the overthinking, cutting the heavy sentence, and connecting with the other person. That is real fluency, not flawless grammar, but smooth recovery.
Your small challenge today is this. Choose just one rescue line from today's episode and say it out loud 3 times right now. Say it while you are making coffee, or driving, or walking the dog.
Build that muscle memory. And then tell us in the comments, what is a specific situation that always makes you overthink your English? Is it writing emails to your boss, making small talk at events, or ordering food at a restaurant?
I read all of those comments, and they are always so relatable.
If this conversation helped you drop some of that heavy pressure today, like subscribe and share it with a friend who also overthinks everything.
And in the next episode, we are tackling a very awkward, very real problem. What do you do when someone makes a joke or uses sarcasm in English and you completely miss the joke?
Oh, the fake laugh. We have all done the panic fake laugh. It is so painful.
Extremely painful. Bring your real laugh, your courage, and maybe a tiny rescue phrase.
You've been listening to Speak English Naturally.
Real English for real life, even when the sentence comes out a little messy.
See you in the next conversation.